Hey guys, Sam from Baller Barbecue here, and this week I'm showing you how to make a smoked pork shoulder on a Pit Boss pellet grill. So let's get into it. Okay, so here I've got my pork shoulder. It's a bone-in pork shoulder. And what I'm going to do is just take off any of these little loose bits of bone, and also just check it for little slithers of bone that might have been left over from when this thing was cut, because the butchers just cut it up on a bandsaw and there can be little shards of bone. So I'll just remove some of the stringy bits of fat, and I'm also going to remove the skin and all the fat from underneath that skin. I'll leave just a little bit there, but remove most of it. So I'll just go ahead with my knife and just cut that skin off. Cutting it nice and close to the meat. Taking off as much of that fat as I can. So once the pork shoulder's all cleaned up and all that skin and fat's removed, I'm just going to take some Dijonnaise mustard and just put a little bit on there and just rub it in. All this is doing is just going to help the rub to stick to the meat. So just rub that mustard all over it and all the little nooks and crannies. And then we'll take our rub. So today I'm just using some Memphis dust that I had left over from another video, and I'm just going to sprinkle that on there, put lots of it on. If you want to use the Memphis dust, you can head over to AmazingRibs.com and they've got the recipe there, or you can just use whatever rub you want. Just put it all over the pork shoulder. Make sure it's nice and thick, because as this smokes, that rub is just going to create a really nice bark. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. It's got that Dijon on there. It's got lots of rub. So we'll go out and put it on the grill. So here I am at the Pit Boss pellet grill. I'll put it on its smoke setting, which will run it through its startup procedure. It takes a little while to start up, but it's all automated, really easy. So once those pellets are ignited and it's finished going through that startup phase, we can close the lid and let it come up to 120 degrees. So once the pellet grills come up to temperature, we can go ahead and put the pork shoulder on the grill. And I'm just going to put the pork shoulder directly on the grill, and I'll put a temperature probe into the thickest part of the pork shoulder, making sure that it's not in contact with that bone. And then we're just going to leave it at 120 for 3 hours without touching it, and we'll come back and check on it then. Okay, so after 3 hours at 120 degrees, this pork shoulder is looking really good. That fat is starting to crack, starting to form a bit of a bark on there. It's looking real good. So what I'll do now is just start giving it a spritz every 20 to 30 minutes with a 50-50 blend of apple cider vinegar and apple juice. And I'm just going to keep doing this until the internal temperature comes up to about 75 degrees or just through the stall. So now that internal temperature has come up to 75 degrees, it's been a total cook time now of about 5.5 hours, and that bark on there is looking really good. The sugar in that apple juice really caramelizing that bark. So now that bark's getting nice and crispy, we're going to take it off the grill, take it inside and wrap it in foil for the next step. Okay, so now I'm going to wrap the pork shoulder in 2 sheets of foil. This will help prevent punctures, and we don't want any of that steam or liquid to leak out of this because we want the pork shoulder to be just falling apart when it's finished. So we'll wrap it up nice and tight, make sure there's no gaps and you've sealed it really well, and then we'll take it back out and put it on the grill. Now with the grill still at 120 degrees, I'm just going to put the pork shoulder wrapped in foil on the grill with a temperature probe in it, and I'm just going to leave it there untouched until the internal temperature comes up to 98 degrees. So once that internal temperature comes up to 98 degrees, we'll remove the temperature probe and take the pork shoulder inside to be pulled apart. Alright, so after a total cook time of about 7 hours, now is the moment of truth. So open up the foil carefully. It's going to be super hot. It's going to be lots of steam in there. There'll be some liquid as well that's come out of the pork while it was cooking. So we'll just go ahead and get rid of the foil so all that liquid doesn't spill everywhere. And you can see that bone is just falling out already. So this is well and truly done. That's a good sign of a good pork shoulder. So we'll throw that foil away and we'll start pulling this thing apart. So using some bear claws or your fingers, just get in there and pull it apart. And you can see this pork shoulder is just coming apart really easily. Good pulled pork. That bark is still nice and crispy. A good smoke ring through there. Heaps of flavour. Lots of juice. So we'll just break it up as small as we can. And it's going to make awesome sandwiches, sliders, just whatever. So once you've got the pork shoulder broken up, I like to mix through a bit of BBQ sauce. So today I'm using a Cully's rib and chicken. It's a glaze, but it goes really well mixing with pulled pork. So we'll just pour some of that over and just mix it through. Oh man, how good does that look? Can't wait to get into this. Alright, so that pork shoulder turned out absolutely beautiful. Just pulled apart so easily. That bark on there, the sugar was all caramelized. It was just so good. Nice smoke ring, really juicy, tender. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and that way you won't miss out on any future videos. And we'll see you again next time.